Hello everyone. Today is 1st of November. Now it's 8:30 in the morning, Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day in which I'll share quite a lot of interesting, in my opinion, news and I will comment on some of them, share my opinion, um, which probably means something. After all, my opinions are based on almost 30 years of experience in journalism, right? Anyways, their week was horrible. I can tell you that for many reasons, including in regards to this project, because for entire week's work, by the way, I've had only $18 donation on PayPal, and many thanks to members of community who donated. And I had $5 donation on Boosty platform, and that's it. And as you can understand, one may not uh, be able to continue work with in such a situation. After all, people are refusing to work for $18 an hour in McDonald's or something in the Western states. And price-wise, by the way, if you think prices here are like 10 times cheaper than in New York, for example, you are mistaken big time. So therefore, as far as I understand, due to certain reasons, due to algorithm, due to my style of presenting the news, and God knows what else, clearly there is decline in viewership of my videos. At least on YouTube, I did not notice any difference on Rumble, but on YouTube, decline is like over 50% or 50, 60, possibly 70%, which may not be natural process. Yet again, algorithm probably plays some role in that. But anyways, because of this, I have to react on the current situation, isn't it? And therefore, I will continue publishing videos on YouTube channel for next week, maybe 2 weeks, just to, you know, inform community, members of the community who are really interested in my work, that, maybe they'll consider to subscribe on my Rumble channel and watch my videos on Rumble, because probably if things continue this way, I will just stop publishing anything on YouTube at all, because what for, isn't it? Why should I spend so much time in that? So yes, probably 2 more weeks, and that's gonna be it for my YouTube channel. And whoever subscribes on Rumble, where my channel is monetized at least, okay. If not, then well, we had a good ride, isn't it? It was interesting. It was interesting, and I will focus mainly on projects for Patreon, Boosty, and Rumble. Uh, and lately, more and more often, because of this immense decline in viewership, in financial support of their channel, I'm more and more often considering to sign a contract with Russian military. And who knows? Who knows? Maybe next year, that's what I will do. I know one may argue that I'm serving my country, my society, by making these videos, because it is important voice from Russia to be heard outside of the country. As many voices as possible, actually. And I can see this argument, but I mean, if I'm unable and to pay for bills, then what the hell am I doing here, right? Uh, Thanks to members of our communities on Patreon and Boosty, at least I am able right now to pay for rent. But to put food on the table, I'm depend on donations, and when you have like $18 donation on a week, you cannot put on our table nothing really. So this is this is it, I guess. Anyways, anyways, so next 2 weeks, I will remind the members of our community on YouTube if they really want to continue to follow my work or receive news from Russia and commentary to consider to subscribe my Rumble channel because after 2 weeks probably I will stop making videos on this platform. Maybe earlier than that. Maybe from next Monday I'll just stop publishing anything. Or from today because I'm quite upset really. So yes, that's when it comes to. And this video is, as you can see, dear friends, more like informal talk news update style as I do videos on Patreon and Boosty. And yes, I don't want to keep it in me. I want to express emotions bit because I worked quite hard really to try and develop this project, and when I see it's crashing yet again on YouTube mainly because on Rumble our community never was big, but in terms of view numbers, nothing has changed there in significant terms. But on YouTube, decline is in viewership is like 70% or something, from 50 to 70%. Lately, my videos barely are managing to reach even 3,000 views, 4,000 views. Recent walk and talk, for example, did not even reach 3,000. So I don't know. This is due to algorithm or because uh, people are just not interested no more in my opinion or my videos. Maybe both. Um, but in any case, it was a good ride. It was a good ride. Let's go through some news. Let's go through some news now. And well, I'm gonna skip bottom up, let military channels talk about it. And well, first news from Kommersant newspaper that yesterday afternoon, between 8:30, yesterday evening actually, between 8:30 and 10 o'clock, Kiev regime launched more than 50 drones to strike deep inside Russian territory, obviously with assistance of NATO member states, US and UK first of all. And according to this report, 51 drones from whatever number was actually launched was intercepted. So 51 drones were down. There was two waves. During the first wave of attack, 41 drones were intercepted, and later, after hour, another 10 drones. 20 drones were destroyed over the Kursk region, 13 drones over the Bryansk region, 4 drones over the Oryol region, 3 drones over the Belgorod region, 1 drone over the Crimea. And as I said later, another 10 drones were launched by Kiev regime, and this is not all. During the nighttime, Kiev regime and their NATO terrorists continue to conduct these terrorist attacks on Russia, and air defense systems on duty during the nighttime, early hours this morning, intercepted 83 drones. Unfortunately, some of the drones managed to bypass air defense systems, and for example, we have reports that in Ufa city of the Russian Federation, industrial area was targeted, and reports are coming in that fuel depot was hit. So I remember news from Financial Times a couple of days ago, which claimed that there are some sort of negotiations between Moscow and Kiev with mediation of Doha, Qatar, about ending strikes on energy facilities of each other. Well, if there was, and the Russian press spokesman of the Russian president, Dmitry Peskov, said that that was fake news, right? In any case, if there was even any negotiations, well, it didn't went well, isn't it? Because Kiev regime is targeting Russian energy facilities, and Russia is retaliating, obviously, and Uh, Energy facilities were targeted, as far as I understand, or at least there was a blackouts in Kharkov region, in Kiev, and Kiev region in a number of other areas of the Western-controlled territories of this former Soviet republic. Also, important news, in my opinion, that there was a leakage of water in Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. This was reported by experts of IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency. So the water leak has been detected at one of the reactors of the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, and repairs are on the way. The International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, has reported on Thursday, October 29, on Tuesday. 29 was Tuesday or what? On Tuesday, 29 was Tuesday. So on Tuesday, October 29, the organization's experts visited power unit number 1 on Zaporozhye nuclear power plant after receiving information about water leak in a reactor containing pump support system. As far as I understand, this is some sort of, I don't know, something to do with their cooling system stuff. For wading operations, it was necessary to reduce the pressure in the primary circuit of atmospheric levels. Radiographic inspection of wheels is currently underway. So no information right now about leakage of radioactive radiation. But nothing will surprise me, by the way, when it comes to Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, because Kyiv regime and Western terrorist organization, NATO, were targeting Zaporozhye nuclear power plant for how long now, right? Almost on daily basis. And it is kind of surprising that this nuclear power plant did not went in meltdown already, right? So I don't know. Maybe it is time for societies in Europe to wake up a little bit and realize that their governments are involved in nuclear terrorism, and their governments are supporting terrorist regime in Kiev that actually targets nuclear power station many times on a regular basis and tries to provoke nuclear disaster. Because who knows if reactors of this plant, by the way, went in meltdown and something happened there, radioactive cloud may be taken by wind over there, I don't know, Berlin, over the Paris, London, Rome. So this is not a joke, but yet again, how many times you read or hear in Western so-called media anything about nuclear terrorism of the Kyiv regime and its Western backers? Probably never. TASS news agency is reporting that her permanent representative of the Russian Federation in UN, Nebezhnya, stated that Zelensky is extremely hungry because a significant number of citizens of this former Soviet Republic, Ukraine, are moving in new Russian regions and settling there. I'm going to translate this news for a little more details, because it is important and interesting. So Vladimir Zelensky is furious because of the relocation of the Ukrainian citizens from Western countries to the regions that become a part of Russia following the results of referendums in the fall of 2022. This was stated by the permanent representative of the Russian Federation in the UN, Vasily Nebezhnya. There are a lot of videos on the internet about how Ukrainian men still seeping abroad happily congratulate each other on escaping from the Zelensky's concentration camp. Quite a few of them chose Russia at the same time. in just 1 year, from February 2022 to February 2023, 5.3 million Ukrainian refugees arrived in Russia. Now we have much more of them. At the same time, Zelensky and his clique are infuriated by the fact that Ukrainians who left for the West, faced with their everyday problems, humiliation, and discrimination on the basis of the language, not only move to Russia, but also move into new regions of the Russian Federation that become part of Russia in 2022. And this is quite interesting news, by the way, somewhat surprising to me also, because I knew there was some 3 to 4 million Ukrainian refugees here in Russia, but I know better now. It's actually more than 5.3 million. I guess up to 6 million refugees, and a significant number of them came to Russia from the EU member states. They went to Europe first, and then they chose to come to Russia. Wise decision. Wise decision for sure, because no one gonna forcefully mobilize them and send their. No one gonna deport them from Russia into Kiev-controlled territory to get forcefully mobilized and sent to the trenches to die for geopolitical agenda of the West, isn't it? And probably many of you also did not know that there are more than 5.3 million, up to 6 million Ukrainian refugees in Russia, and many of them obviously will undergo a process, and they will receive Russian citizenship. I don't see any issues in there. And I guess more and more people will come to Russia from the Western states, more and more Ukrainian refugees, because otherwise, at one point, they're gonna get forced to go back to Kiev-controlled territory, and a number of political leaders in EU member states are openly talking about it, right? So I guess very many Ukrainian refugees will come back to Russia, and they will undergo checking, obviously, to make sure that they are not terrorists of the Kiev regime. And if everything was okay, if they did not commit any crimes against Russia, they will be allowed to enter the country and eventually become a citizen. RT is reporting that von der Leyen advised to create EU CIA. Okay, more control. Brussels wants more control. And more and more increasingly acts like a capital of some sort of quasi-state. Not the union of some sort, not the host receiving city or host city of the headquarter of the organization, but as a capital of this quasi-state EU. An EU report has called on European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen to create a fully fledged intelligence agency to coordinate the clandestine activity of the member states. However, even proponents of the idea admit it would be costly and unpopular. Penned by the former Finnish president Sauli Niinistö and published on Wednesday, the report outlines the EU's readiness for war and makes a multitude of wage recommendations. Officials in Brussels are advised, for example, to cultivate preparedness culture and strengthen civil-military coordination framework. One of their more concrete recommendations is that EU create a fully fledged intelligence cooperation service, servicing all EU institutions and member states. The agency, the report states, would collect intelligence from the national level agencies in order to serve both strategic and operational needs of EU level policy planning and decision making. So yes, I mean, EU is transforming more and more rapidly into some sort of police quasi-state, militarized police quasi-state, and this proposal probably will find its support, and EU will come up with something like its own CIA. Okay, okay. RT is reporting that Germany is about to shut down Iranian consulates. Germany will close all three Iranian consulates on its soil in response to Tehran's execution of a German-Iranian dual citizen for terrorism offenses. Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock announced on Thursday Berlin will seek EU sanctions against those involved in the execution of Jamshid Sharma, who was reportedly put to death on Monday for planning and orchestrating a series of terrorist acts, according to Iranian state media. And dear friends, I have no reason to doubt that this person was uh, planning some hostile activity against Iranian society, Iranian people, because I don't think Iranian law enforcement agencies are executing people left and right for no reason. Who knows? Maybe this person was an asset of the CIA. He was living in U.S., right? A citizen of both Iran and Germany, Sharma the had been living in the US since 2003, where he led a group of Iranian exiles dedicated to overthrowing the country's ruling clerics and restoring the US-backed monarchy that ran the country before the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Yeah, CIA fucking asset, right? And well, what else you expect from a country that is targeted by CIA assets? Should they applaud these terrorists? Execution may be, I mean, too harsh a punishment, but it's Iran, it's Iranian laws, and who am I to say anything about what kind of laws other country has, right? The U.S. is still executing people for crimes. Am I correct? RT is reporting, and by the way, to be clear on this topic, I believe execution as a punishment should be reinstalled in Russia also, because I believe there are certain crimes that cannot be, I mean, for which a person should be executed. There are certainly are crimes uh, for which people should not be put in jail, and then society should not pay even a single penny for them to eat food and have electricity and warm atmosphere or whatever. There are fucking animals. Those people that are committing those horrendous crimes, and they should be neutralized as rabid dogs are. And I don't give a damn if my opinion is not popular in among liberals that so care about life. I mean, they care so much about life. Those so-called liberals, by the way, that uh, they destroy Libya, right? Where now people being sold on the markets as a sort of cattle. And before they destroy Libya, those so-called liberals and globalists that care so much about lives, before they did it, Libya was one of the most advanced countries in Africa. So yeah, there are certain crimes and there are certain individuals that cannot be forgiven and should not put in jail, so that then thousands and thousands of dollars will be spent on their to maintain their life in jail. What the hell, man? Just one bullet, that's it. They're rabid dogs, should be exterminated. I think so. And I hope one point, sometime in the future, Russia will, resume executions, because it needs to be done. It's corruption, by the way. I believe elements that are involved in a high level of corruption should be executed. criminals that commit crimes with their extreme brutality should be executed, and many more. I have no sympathy for criminals, anyways. There is reports that U.S. sanctions Indian companies for enabling Russian military. Okay, okay. So the U.S. has announced that 19 Indian entities and individuals will be sanctioned for supplying goods and components that Russia uses for its weapon systems to wage war against Ukrainian terrorists. Along with their Indian firms, hundreds of companies from other countries were targeted. In a press release on Wednesday, the US State Department said that it was sanctioning India-based Ascend Aviation and Musk Trans for supplying aviation components to Russia, with Ascend Aviation allegedly selling some components of US origin. The directors of the both firms were also sanctioned. Two other Indian firms, TSMD Global and Futreva, were also accused of operating on having operated in the technology sector of the Russian Federation economy. Okay, man. Okay, I guess India will respond on these criminal actions of the Biden's administration, and it is obviously criminal activity. What else you expect from that terrorist regime there, right? And from those mass murderers, really? Biden, Kamala, rest of the garbage, actually. So India will probably respond on that, and these stupid, dirty animals, Blinken and rest of their criminals, if they think they're gonna influence somehow Indian business and force them to stay away from Russia, they're so mistaken. I mean, they're that stupid. Those animals really are that stupid, you know. They are that stupid. These people that they sanction, they're gonna do business with Russia even more, and they have connections, right? So they're gonna do business with Russia even more effectively, uh, because what they should care of now that they're gonna get sanctioned, they're already under sanctions, right? So I mean, they're so stupid. Those are those fucking animals, man. In the leadership of Western states, majority of them are so fucking stupid, man. Just unbelievable. You cannot comment on their actions seriously, man. It's just not possible. Fucking imbeciles, man. Nothing to be said about Blinken being a Israeli asset, right? And if you ask citizens of US, they will say US is an independent state. And come on, man, really, US being used and abused by ruling class and certain forces in collective West for decades and decades and decades. You no longer have any sovereignty. You don't make no decisions about your country or your own fate, your own future. And this is true, right? Vzgled newspaper is reporting that China is sanctioning a U.S. biggest drone manufacturer for supplying weapon systems to Taiwan. So, company Skidio, biggest producer of the drones, uh, including military drones, by the way, for U.S. militaries and in U.S. Were sanctioned by China and uh, may go out of business now if they did not find ways to receive some parts from other countries. They might go out of business, which will not be bad news, really. U.S. military industrial complex should be destroyed, obviously, because it's one of the reasons why U.S. is engaged in so many wars, right? U.S. military industrial complex that constantly needs some wars, and they brought almost all the politicians in U.S., right? Entire political class is corrupt, system is corrupt, right? Including by uh, influence of military-industrial complex. And there was I cannot remember, it was uh, Truman, Eisenhower, or which of the presidents who was warning U.S. citizens, warning U.S. to be careful with the military-industrial complex because it's a monster. And it is the case, absolutely. Skidio, the largest manufacturer of unmanned aerial vehicles, drones in the United States, has begun restricting their sales of batteries for its drones due to sanctions imposed by China for supplying drones to Taiwan. The company's CEO, Adam Bray, said that battery stocks will decrease in the coming months, which will affect customers. In this regard, Skidio sells only one battery per drone to cope with the shortage, reports TASS. According to Bray, China has imposed sanctions on Skidio for supplying drones to Taiwan. Despite this, the company continues to support Taiwan. Bray noted that Beijing is using supply chains as a tool of pressure, but this will not stop them. He also added that Chinese companies are gradually losing market share of drones, losing it to Western manufacturers such as Skidio. I mean, are you serious, man? What the hell are you talking about? What's Skidio, man? Do you ever heard about Skidio? I don't. Uh, so fucking imbeciles, man. I mean, really. So, well done to China, by the way. This sword has double edge, isn't it? That U.S. administration loves to threaten everybody. You know, they use sanctions on others. Well, U.S. companies can be sanctioned also, and China definitely in a position to not just sanction, but to actually take out entire industries in the U.S. You mess around China, you mess with China, and you will find out it hard way, right? It is what it is, man. Good, by the way, that somebody finally is in position to not just compete in terms of economical might with this falling empire that US has become under control of Western ruling class. But it is good to know that there are some forces in this world that actually can pay back hard to all the criminal actions, for all the criminal actions that West is committing against humanity, right? So, let's see after a year where's Skidio gonna be. Let's see. Prime Minister of Georgia once again spoke about recent parliamentary elections during the which ruling party received about 54% of the votes. So-called opposition, which is completely controlled by the Western secret services, did not recognize these elections, as you know, and as I was predicting. Also, President of Georgia did not recognize these elections, as I was also predicting, and they are trying now to destabilize country. They are trying to destabilize country, and Prime Minister of Georgia, Irakli Kobakhidze, spoke on the topic and said that Georgia experienced unprecedented foreign interference during these parliamentary elections. He did not specify what he means, but he definitely don't means Russian interference. He means interference from the West. And maybe it would be better if he was more direct, because people in Georgia deserve to know which regimes from the collective West are trying to destabilize country, trying to influence on country's internal policies. Yes, I know that people understand perfectly well that this is US, UK, France, some others. Yes, but it is always better when there is a clear, direct talk, right, from officials. So there is no room left for speculations. And right now, dear friends, RIA Novosti updated information about this leakage of the water in Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. Sir, a first reactor block, and according to a headline that I see right now, a leakage was neutralized. Leakage was neutralized as a result of their emergency works that was done on the spot. So let's go through this news here. Georgian parliamentary elections were held with unprecedented external interference. Prime Minister of Republic Irakli Kobakhidze said on Imedi TV, foreign money is being used for political purposes in Georgia. The elections were marked by the unprecedented interference from outside, including interference with foreign money. Kobakhidze also expressed confidence that their opposition parties will not have enough resources to continue sabotage for a long time. So, as I said, it would be better if officials will start to talk directly as it is without any games with the wordings and so on. Say it, by the way, say that it is US that is trying to overthrow government, legit government in the country, because it is US, for God's sake. We all know this. So just say it, right? France is involved in this criminal activity, so say so, for God's sake. And this Western-controlled so-called opposition plans on 4th of November to organize another demonstration in Georgia, in Tbilisi, capital of the republic. And well, as I said, by the way, Western assets are continuing their attempts and will continue this attempt to destabilize country, somehow provoke regime change or conduct regime change with active support of the Western secret services, and then basically allow Western ruling class to use Georgia as a tool against just about anybody, and first of all against Russia. And as I said many times before, by the way, if they will succeed in this, Georgia may not survive such a devastation. Let's continue. And RT is reporting that Tucker Carlson, world famous US journalist, was interviewing and maybe continues to interview Donald Trump. So I don't know, it was a nighttime here when this interview was on air. It was a live interview, as far as I understand, and Trump spoke about a number of topics, by the way. Let's go through some of them at least here. So, under the Biden administration, the US has ended up in a precise, precarious position as the dollar has started to lose its global clout. If we lose the dollar as a standard, it is like losing a war. No way this will happen with me, he said. What he gonna do about it? I mean, it's the US that basically banning countries from using dollars. US ban Russia from using dollar, right? And now Russia is trading with its partners with national currencies. And Russian leadership said it straight, right? That it was not Russia's decision to get rid of the dollar in a trade. It's a decision of Washington. And because Western ruling class weaponized Western financial and the banking system in an unimaginable scale, countries worldwide are afraid now to be dependent on that system. It's not because it's not reliable, and therefore process is an unstoppable process is underway now when more and more countries are prioritizing trade in some other currencies. Let's say Chinese yuan, for example, is gaining momentum, obviously, but more and more countries are conducting trade in bilateral trade in national currencies also. So therefore, share of dollar in world trade is obviously decreasing, and I don't think Trump gonna be able to do anything about it. I mean, what he gonna do? He gonna say that, you know what, we will no longer use Western financial system against you guys. Who gonna believe him? What Trump gonna do? Lift all the sanctions on Russia? No, he will put more sanctions on Russia, by the way. Just mark my word. Once he will get to office, give it like a couple of months and you will see. But Trump's administration, if he will win election, will start imposing even more sanctions on Russia because that's what he did during his first term. He imposed on Russia more sanctions than his predecessors. Anyways, let's go through this news. The administration of President Joe Biden has managed to unite China and Russia, accomplishing something that should have been avoided at all costs. Trump has said, adding that two countries are natural enemies, given that Russia has a massive territory and China needs it to its large population. We will allow them to get together. It's such a dangerous thing. Well, I mean, so much to unpack here, isn't it? Trump is correct that it is the West mistakes and criminal activities of the Western class that basically made it happen when Moscow and Beijing are strategical partners and relationships between the two countries, Russia and China, are on highest level ever. But when it comes to statement of Trump that uh, Russia and China are natural enemies, I'll disagree on that. Um, I don't see many reasons why would Russia and China see each other as an enemy. There may be some cautious approach in some areas, but I mean, take a look at the China, by the way. 90%, about like 80, 90% of population lives in nowhere on coastline areas, on southern eastern coastline areas. And you know why? Because the rest of the Chinese territory is quite unfriendly, let's say, to put it mildly, for human activity. It's a desert, it's this and that. And by the way, take a look at the Russia's far east. It's even harsher conditions there. And my fellow citizens, after decades and decades and hundreds of years of living in those conditions, and there, by the way, um, native people also that are still living there for thousands of years. They are used to these conditions, right? But I don't think Chinese people would be happy to move from Shanghai, for example, to Taiga somewhere. No, man. So therefore, this attitude that you know what Russia has vast territories and China needs more territories because of its vast population. This is all a wrong reading of their objective reality. China is a huge country, by the way, huge country, but still, majority of Chinese areas are quite loosely populated, exactly because of the harsh conditions. And some 90% of their people are living on the coastal line areas, regions, right? So Trump is mistaken on that. Uh, Russia and China are not natural enemies, and by the way, even though in history there were some hostilities time to time between the two, but in general, there was no big issues ever, historically speaking, between China and Russia. Uh, so it is also historically accurate, by the way, that there were no wars. By the way, there were some skirmishes between the two. Last time, Soviet era, because there was some dispute over the borderline where it should be on Amur River. But that dispute is resolved now, right? And borders are, work was done. It took a decade also, and demarcation process is finished, and there is clear border, and both sides are recognizing sovereignty of each other on inside these borders, right? Anyways, Trump is correct though when he says that it was a fatal, it was big mistake to force basically Beijing and Moscow to become strategic partners, you know, uh, but because it made China much stronger, right? Much resilient, much stronger, and same can be said about Russia. Russia is definitely much stronger now. Also, Trump unexpectedly took credit for killing a Nord Stream 2, a pipeline built to deliver Russian gas to Germany through the Baltic Sea. The undersea pipeline suffered a series of explosions in September 22 when Trump was no longer president. Democrats love to say that I was the friend of Russia, I worked for Russia, I was a Russian spy. Trump said the biggest job Russia ever had, Nord Stream 2, this is the biggest pipeline in the world, goes from Russia to Germany and all over Europe. I killed it. Nobody would kill it but me. I stopped it, he said, without elaborating. Well, Trump tried to sanction, and he did sanction Nord Stream pipeline, and for a significant time, uh, works on pipeline was stopped. It's true, but then Russian side managed to, and companies that were operating on this pipeline to build these pipelines were afraid of sanctions and they stopped working on it. And Russia managed to finish it all anyways. So maybe Trump is referring to that period time frame when, due to threats, uh, some Western companies stopped operating on the pipeline, stopped building the pipeline. Uh, Probably he's referring to that, or otherwise, we all know that Russia finished the pipeline, and then it was Biden who actually authorized strikes to be conducted on those pipes, right? So it's Biden who killed it, not Trump, actually. Biden or deep state, whoever was a real decision maker and whoever is real decision maker in US. I mean, Biden formally, yes, authorized that terrorist attack, right? But decision was made by some other people, and we all know this. And well, Trump spoke about some other topics also. Let's not go through this. Probably many of you already watch his interview. And what I just said, dear friends, once Trump will get to office, take a look at his attitude, right? He's bragging about damaging Russia, Russia's interests. He will probably act even more hawkish towards Russia than neolibs do. He may actually provoke Third World War. You know, I don't know. I don't know, but if anybody thinks that Trump may get to office and he will normalize relationships with Russia, I don't think so. I don't think so. He was in office once, and he did exactly the opposite. He basically completely destroyed the relationships between Moscow and Washington. RT is reporting that Medvedev, former Russian president and current deputy chairman of the Security Council, uh, proposes changes to Russia's migration policy. Russian migration policy should only reflect national interests, and those who do not work or study in the country should be made to leave. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev has said Medvedev, who currently serves as deputy chairman of the Russian Security Council, made the remarks on Thursday while addressing a meeting on state migration policies. Migration policy should truly meet the interests of our citizens and not some foreign states or groups of states, no matter how important they are for us. Medvedev said. He added that the government agencies need to establish a strict control over those policies as a matter of national security. The former president also stressed that the importance of preventing the formation of ethnic enclaves in Russia, which create fertile ground for the spread of extremism and terrorism. We must know exactly who and why they are have arrived, where they work and live, whether they are ready to integrate into Russian society. Medvedev explained migrants who do not work or study in Russia should ultimately leave the country, he said, adding that low skilled migrants should stay only for their defined work period. At the same time, Medvedev said that Russia should create conditions to encourage high skilled specialists to work in their country. So some changes definitely is going to happen in Russia's migration policies. Obviously, Russia needs a workforce. Russia's economy is overheated, unemployment on historical low level. So obviously, uh, migrant workers uh, play significant role in terms of uh, growth of the Russian economy. Uh, but Medvedev has a point. If there are foreigners that don't work, don't study, don't do nothing, uh, well, they should leave, right? I mean, and if they are not tourists, I mean, tourists, that's a whole different story, right? I mean, it's a whole different category. But uh, I mean, if foreigners are not working, not studying, not doing nothing, or not playing their positive role in society's life, in further development of economy, don't pay taxes and stuff, then what the hell, really? You know. So I can see he's coming from, and also it is good. It is good if changes will be made in migration policies to bring in high-skilled workers, because of course high-skilled workers will benefit more greatly economy and our society in general, and themselves, obviously. Anyways, let's continue. RT is reporting that Russia ready to help Turkey build a second nuclear power plant, according to Russia's foreign minister Lavrov. Russia and Turkey would both win if Moscow gets the contract to build the planned Sinop nuclear power plant in Turkey's Black Sea coast. Russia's foreign minister Sergei Lavrov has stated. The top diplomat made his comment in an interview with the Turkish daily Hariyet on Friday. If it would be possible to agree on the parameters of the Russia's participation, it would be a win for both sides. We already have a successful example of such a cooperation, the construction of the Akku nuclear power plant, Lavrov said. He added that it is up to Turkish authorities to make their final decision on their matter. And of course, Turkey gonna grant contract to Russian side. Or who else? I mean, France? Really? Turkey and France are on hostile terms for quite a while now. And if a contract will go to French companies that are also good in building nuclear power plants, by the way, uh, well, Paris will be in a position to jeopardize this project at any point. And I don't think Ankara really wants to be that dependent on French political class, right? Same goes for US. Although, by the way, I doubt that they still professionals, that many professionals in US that are capable of working in this field of building modern nuclear power stations. US cannot produce enriched uranium for itself, by the way, right now. And this is not a joke. They are buying enriched uranium from Russia, right? And you think why? Because they cannot produce US nuclear energy industry are unable to produce enough nuclear enriched uranium for itself, for its some, I don't know, 70 or 90 nuclear reactors that are still somewhat operational in the US. So uh, it's definitely win-win for Ankara and Moscow if this contract goes to Russia's Rosatom. But let's see, let's see. And I will end this update on this quite interesting news that President of Serbia, Aleksandar Vucic, will visit Moscow for 9th of May during their 80th, during the celebration of 80th anniversary of their victory in a great patriotic war. Good news, by the way. Good news, Serbia. Serbians are our brothers, by the way, and always will be, no matter who is the president, what kind of policies the political class is pushing. But it is good to know that despite all the pressure from the Western ruling class that Serbia is constantly under, President there made decision to participate in this great celebration of their victory in a great patriotic war. So good, good. And I believe there will be many leaders from the world that will join this celebration. And this is it for now. This is it for now, dear friends. Sir, I was trying yesterday to deal with some sound issues that lately these videos were experiencing, and I really hope I managed to effectively deal with this issue. In any case, if there, I will listen to this video later on, and I will find out. But if there will be any technical issues, I apologize for that, and trust me, I'm trying to resolve it. I'm not a technician, and it's not that easy for me to find out what the hell is happening with their sound or picture or whatever. But I'm getting there. I'm getting there. If necessary, I will take some drastic measures, and I will just buy new microphone, new notebook if necessary. It's gonna be costly, but you know, anyways, this is it for now. This is it for now. Hopefully, you will find this update interesting, useful, informative, entertaining, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything. Maybe we will manage to overcome obstacles that YouTube's algorithm is creating. But even if not, uh, you know, as I said in the beginning, dear friends, I will see another week or two, and most likely, I will move this project completely on out of YouTube, and I will focus on my Patreon page, Boosty page, and Rumble channel. And this is it for now, dear friends. If you like my work, if you want to see further development of this project and want to support, all the links are on this video in description box and in the pinned comment. Have a wonderful day, great upcoming weekend, and take care.